How are you, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Teacher Kaligo Dotto, the teacher of literature in English. Listen the play analysis, The Dilemma of a Ghost, written by Christina at Aidoo. This play written in 1964, and the setting of this play located in Ghana. The Dilemma of a Ghost is a play by Ghanaian poet, playwright, and novelist Christina at Aidoo. The play centered around Ato Yakson, a Ghanaian who recently completed his studies in the United States and returned home with an American blood usually. From the beginning, it is clear that Eulalie is not like the girls back home, and that there is potential for conflict here. Already in the opening scene, a short plied Eulalie and Ato arguing, still here and there, seem hope that love can conquer all. At least that is how the two feel. But one of the big issues they will face is already addressed here. Eulalie is not eager to bear children yet, though it is expected of here. And after that, they will begin a family as soon as possible. Let us look the list of characters used by playwright Christina at Aidoo. Number 1, Ato Yakson, a young Ghanaian graduate. Number 2, Eulalie Yakson, Afro-American graduate. Number 3, Escom, Ato's mother. Number 4, Monka, his sister. Number 5, Nana, his grandmother. Number 6, Akere, his elder aunt. Number 7, Mansa, his young aunt. Number 8, Petu, his elder uncle. Number 9, Akroma, his young uncle. Number 10, first woman. And number 11, woman. Those are neighbors. Number 30, boy and girl, who children in dream. The boy being the ghost of Ato's former self. The roots. The play begins with a prelude including a poem, introducing the setting and the main character. Ato, a Ghanaian graduate from Oduman clan, also called the One Scholar, returned to Ghana from his studies in North America and brings with him a black American wife. She is optimistic that life is going to be nice for her on the African land, and Ato's people will be here people. He assures her that even if they don't get children, that won't matter for him, but they will create a paradise in their marriage, and having children can be postponed as long as Eulalie wishes. Let us look the plot summary of this play, The Dilemma of a Ghost, by Christina at Aidoo. Act 1. It features two village women returning from the river with their water pots, discussing how they toil like slaves doing their domestic and the farm's works, while the other family members are resting. They also talking about the arrival of Ato, who is expected to pay the debt his mother had. Nana, the grandmother, is happy for the returning of her grandson. While she is still alive, she complained that the darkness has fallen, but the women have not lit the light. Ato called them, and his uncle Akroma and Petu come at the same time. Nana suggests that Akroma should take his wife to a famous herbalist called Coughlin instead of depending on the white man's medicine alone, which seemed to be ineffective to his wife. They gathered as a family and discussed various things, including how Aidoo, the firstborn, was humble growing up. Pet asking for the sheep that Eskom was leading, and she reports that she sold it to get the man to pay the blood price for Aidoo. Aidoo informs them that he is already married, and they are all surprised, and they attack him with questions like, "You are married? Married? Who is your wife? When did you marry? What is her name? Where does she come from?" The news troubled them a lot because she is from America, and they can't pronounce her name. He assured them that she's just an American of African ancestry because her grandparents were taken from Africa to America as slaves. This additional information confuses them even more to learn that Eulalie is an offspring of slaves. Nana is more frustrated how she will tell the story to the dead ancestors when she dies that one of their stock and brought home a slave. Let us look at Act 2. 14 days later, two women are talking as they come from the woods where they have gathered some faggots. They discuss how important it is to have children, but they comment on Monka, Eskom's daughter, who never marries well. However, they don't blame Eskom for Monka's ladness. They expect Aidoo to take care of his nephew, Monka's children, but they also say that those days are gone. They talk about Aidoo's wife, and the second woman reports that Eskom had gone to knock the door of Yamesa to ask for his daughter to marry her son. But she says that he has refused to marry this girl and has instead married a black-white woman. They hear the cry of baby from distance, and the first woman wishes she also had a child. Later, Eulalie is seen giving a long monologue, or soliloquy, after arriving in Africa. She wonders what she would do if she finds out that she has made a mistake coming to Africa. She even acknowledges the changes of her name from Eulalie Lash to Eulalie Yawson. She expresses the misconception she had about Africa, that she thought of it as jungle and never thought there as cock in Africa. She expresses the identity and the pride that her mother installed in her, that God created her black and she cannot change it. She wishes her mother was alive to see her. Aidoo then joins her, and the two discuss several things, teasing each other. Eulalie introduced the idea of starting a family, but also Aidoo objects that they should stick to their original plan. Let us look at the 3. 6 months later, Aidoo and Eulalie have come to spend a weekend. Aidoo dreams of a boy and a girl in a theater. Afternoon sleep, thinking about the ghost who was in dilemma, not knowing where to go, whether to Elimina or to Cape Coast. He so worried about the dream because the ones happened when he was still young. His uncle paid to come to greet them, and Aidoo tell him about the dream he had. He said that the boy in the dream looked like him, Aidoo, when he was a child. Uncle encouraged him not to think much about the dream while he worked on it. 2 hours later, Aidoo's mother Eskom come and bring them the snail to prepare the food. When Eulalie sees them, she slows them away and it causes a great conflict between Aidoo and Eulalie, and Aidoo with his mother. Aidoo tries to defend his wife, but Eskom insists that she has to follow the culture of her husband and not the vice versa. Eskom tells Aidoo how she had trouble collecting the school fees from the unsympathetic rich people and his uncles. She tells him how her friends are laughing at her because she is poorer than ever before since she had pawned her properties and cannot redeem them. She complained that all the money goes to satisfy Eulalie, Hulele's needs. Let us look at 4. 6 months later, 2 women returning from the market are discussing about the days of splitting of the stall. They also discuss about Aidoo, who has not brought any changes in his family since he arrived, to the point that his mother's roof leaks more than ever before. Later, they say that it is all because of Eulalie, who spends all the money buying cigarettes, drinks, clothes, and machines. They also discuss her state of bondage because it seems so, as she has not given birth since she came. Aidoo's relatives come to perform the ritual of spring, the compound of chess, the evil spirit, using the herbal consortium. Then they leave. Several hours later, Aidoo and Eulalie are discussing about her drinking behavior, and he asks her to put the drinks in the room because more relatives are coming. At last, they arrive and ask Aidoo to inform his wife that they are going to wash her stomach so that she may conceive. Aidoo objects, but Petu, his uncle, tells him that they met and discussed about the issue, why he is not getting a child. They also inform him that they are aware that his wife smokes cigarettes and drinks just like a man. When they leave, Eulalie asked Aidoo what the meeting was about and informed her that they came to tell Aidoo and Eulalie that they are displeasing the spirit of the dead ancestors for controlling birth. Let us look at 5. The next morning, Aidoo and Eulalie are expected to attend the Thanksgiving service of his cousin, who had died the year before. Eulalie refused to go with him because, as she claimed, Aidoo listened to his people so much that she is forced to do as they wish. She complained that Aidoo's relatives forced their wills on her, including when she should have children. She asked Aidoo to tell them that she will have children when she wants them, but Aidoo says that they won't understand. She then instructed them that they only understand the only savage customs and stands because they are more savage than dinosaurs with their snail and potions. Aidoo tells her when Lom do as Loms do. She tells him that if we can preach so well, then he should please his own people to try to have a little bit of understanding for the things they don't know anything about yet. Aidoo tells her to shut up and asks her, how much does American Negro knows? At this point, the argument intensifies to the point that Eulalie tells Aidoo, do you compare these bastards, these stupid, narrow-minded savage, with us? Do you dare? Aidoo loses his temper and slaps her and leaves the house. At midnight, Aidoo Syria is looking for Eulalie, but she cannot be found. The first and the second women hear the noise from Eskom's house, and they come to find out. Second woman guesses that something is wrong between him and his wife. The dilemma of a ghost. They talk about the ways Eulalie was seen the evening sitting on the glass in the school with her head bowed. Finally, they go back to sleep. As come out to inquire what is happening, Ato tells her that he's looking for Eulalie because he has disappeared after slapping her. Ato says he did so because he insulted his people and refused to go to the Thanksgiving service. S says she refused because he is barren. Ato tells her that they will have children when they want them and his wife is not barren. S wonders whether they are gods who can create their own children. However, S blames Ato for not teaching his wife about his culture, for S believes no stranger ever breaks the law. Eulalie appears and she looks very weak and unhappy. S comes to support her, and after addressing Ato, she supports her of the farmhouse. Ato remains confused and bewildered and lost. Then an echo from his own mind brings the voice of the children. Shall I go to Cape Coast? Shall I go to Elmina? I can't tell. Shall I? I can't tell. I can't tell. I can't tell. I can't tell. Dear listeners, especially students, Form 3 and Form 4, who take literature in English and the English language. So, let us look at the title of the play, The Dilemma of a Ghost. A dilemma is a situation which makes problems, often one in which someone has to make the very difficult choice between things of equal importance. A ghost is the spirit of a dead person that a living person believes they can see or hear. The meaning of a dilemma of a ghost is a play featuring a Ghanaian graduate who goes to study in North America, and on his return to Africa, he comes with a sophisticated black American wife, Eulalie. They have hope of happy marriage by combining the sweetest and loveliest things from Africa and America. But soon their hope are shown to have been built on an ancestral foundation. The issues that arise afterwards place out of the main character in dilemma. There are several cases of dilemma in the play. Number 1, the dilemma of a ghost in Ato's dream. Ato dreams of a boy and a girl in a sister afternoon sleep, thinking about the ghost, who was in dilemma, not knowing where to go, whether to Elmina or to Cape Coast. This reminded him of the song he used to sing when he was young, but he wonders why the dream has come back at him now. One early morning, when the moon was up, shining as the sun, I went to Elmina Junction, and there I saw Sledge Ghost going up and down, singing to himself, shall I go to Cape Coast or to Elmina? I don't know. I can tell. I don't know. I can tell. I can tell. I can tell. Number 2, Ato is in dilemma whether to side with his people or his wife. Symbolically, the ghost refers to African culture that hands Ato himself, who is now educated, and wants to compromise some of his load. Inform his aunt, his uncle, but uncle the boy looks like me when I was a child. Pet that. Since Ato has been exposed to both cultures of educated people and of his own folks people, he is in dilemma how to balance two culture extremes. Number 3, Eulalie is in dilemma whether to follow her culture or that of Ato's folks. Eulalie is confused when she finds out that things are not going to be as they had anticipated when in America. She is forced to follow the culture that she is not used to. Things get hot when she is slapped by Ato, and she has nowhere to go. The second woman report, but it seems as if between him and the wife. The dilemma of a ghost, all is not well. Page 48. Dear listeners, let us look at the setting of this play, The Dilemma of a Ghost. The setting of the play is divided into two major phases. Number one, American setting. This is when Aidoo and Eulalie are still in America, planning to come to Africa and to start their living, hoping to create paradise in Africa. This is shown in the load of the story. Things like American slang used by Eulalie. Aidoo can't you ma be sort of ma too. Page 9. And the cigarette smoke for women. Some of the American setting. Number 2, African setting and Ghana in particular. The rest of the play is set in Africa, and the theme portrays a clear reflection of African setting. Things like blood plies, superstitions, forced marriage, wife beating, and the like are very common in Africa than elsewhere in the world. Let us look at the style used by playwright Christina Aidoo. Number 1, the use of dialogue. The dominant style is dialogue, as expected of any play. Dialogue is used to set the mood and tone of the play and to bring events and the character to life. Number 2, soliloquy or monologue. In page 23 and 24, Eulalie's voice gives a long monologue describing her experience in Africa. They also says, on the other hand, the passage could be spoken in soliloquy, with a mother's voice interrupting from backstage. Number 3, flashback or flash forward. This is a sudden jump forward in time, usually used to eliminate unnecessary events between the more interesting event in a story. In this play, this technique is used to speed up the act from one act to another. For example, from Act 1 to Act 2, she speaks 2 weeks, a fortnight later, afternoon. From Act 2 to Act 3, she speaks 6 months later. From Act 3 to Act 4, she speaks 6 months, another 6 months later, another. Number 4, point of view. The dominant point of view through which the story is told in first person point of view, with few cases of third person point of view. Number 6, the use of songs and the poetic language. The playwright has used songs such as One, the boy and the girl sings in Aidoo's dream. Page 28. One early morning, when the moon was up, shining as the sun, I went to Elmina Junction, and then there I saw Lake Ghost going up and down, saying to himself, shall I go to Cape Coast or to Elmina? I don't know, I can tell. I don't know, I can tell, I can tell. Another song sung by Monkas in page 33. Dear listeners, let us look language use or figures of speech as portrayed by Christina Aidoo. Aidoo has used a simple and straightforward language that is rich in both African heritage and American influence, giving the play African originality by the way she integrates the saying and proverbs from African setting. The introduction of an Afro-American character, Eulalie, adds to the language a flavor of Black American slang. There is also the use of abusive language, which has become just normal among the Afro-Americans, but is considered inappropriate elsewhere, particularly back in Africa. Where they actually came from, the following elements of language use have been manifested in the play. Number 1, slang. Eulalie, an Afro-American character who has rooted in Africa during the slave trade, is fully Americanized and speaks Black English, as evidenced in the following lines. Eulalie, yeah, that just, yeah, beautiful wife is called the skulking gods, hot days, my lord, war morning. Number two, abusive language. Usually use abusive language when addressing Ato and his kinsmen, referring to them as savages, stupid, narrow-minded, and bastards. She goes a step ahead to say that even their land is gluten. The following quotation explains his point clear. Have the expression for anything but their own historic existence more savage than dinosaurs, despising their foods and tradition, she adds, with their snail and the potions. Addressing Ato, she comments about his people and his land by saying, I must always do things to please you and your folks. What about the sort of things I like? Are not they gotten and any meaning on this gluten land? Page 49. She finalized her statement by giving bitter comments, showing that in no ways in America Negro can be compared to this barbaric tribe of West Africa by saying, do you compare this bastard, this stupid, narrow-minded savage with us? Do you dare? Page 48. Let us look figures of speech. Number one, satire. Aidoo has satirized some issues in her play for humorous effect and makes her play blend between tragedy and comedy, thus producing tragicomic drama. One of the cases of wit and is portrayed by first and second women who are noted for their wit and utterance on issues raised in the play, especially in the importance of children in her current tradition marriage and the financial situation of ESCOM after the returning of Ato from America. It is true that we do not only have Hammer in the dilemma of a ghost, but other aspects of tragicomedy, such as wit speech and happy ending, exist in the play. There are some underlines in the play that show the satire, such as, and do you know some of us are not lucky enough to be paid to sit in an office doing nothing. Page 29. This satirizes the behavior of most educated people who demand higher salaries, while all they do is to sit in the office doing the paperwork that is incomparable to the salaries they get. Another example of satire. Mommy, mommy, Ato's morning sunshine has flown away. The snail you gave them. This mocker, the Eulalie, who has fallen to adapt herself to the new catch of her husband, and the monka called her mother Ato's morning sunshine because she considers herself a dedicated being. Another figure of speech, number two, female. Example, who will kick us all around as if we will his football. Page 15. Another female. She mutters Christ, like a caged animal. Page 25. Another female. But uncle, the boy looked like me when I was a child. Page 30. Another female. All the time I have been quiet, as if I were a tortoise. Page 34. Another female. Living a life of failure is like taking snuff at the beach. Page 35. Another female. The name keeps buzzing in my head like a sting of witch being. Page 36. Another female. I hear she swallows man as a hen does corn. Let us look at another figure of speech. Number 3, metaphor. Our white example, our white master, we welcome you. Page 15, referring to Ato. Another metaphor, Ato's morning sunshine. Page 32, referring to Eulalie. Another metaphor, why did you not tell us that you and your wife are gods? Page 51. Let us look at another figure of speech. Number 4, personification. Example: do they not know that if the heaven withdraws their light, man must light his own ways? Page 13. Another personification: since the morning has found us, we must eat. Page 29. Another personification: her foot never knows wood fire. Page 38. Another figure of speech, rhetorical question. Number 5. Who does not know that she smokes cigarette, and who has not heard that she can cut a drink as well as any man? Page 45. Another figure of speech, number 7, euphemism. Example: what is preventing you from giving your grandmother a great grandchild before she leaves us? Page 43, meaning before she dies. Another figure of speech, number 80, hyperbole. Example: I say usually, am I to wait here forever? Page 46. Basically, one cannot wait for someone forever. Another hyperbole: is this noise not enough to wake the dead? Page 48. Actually, no noise can awake the dead. Another figure of speech, number 9, sayings or proverbs. Example: we can soon know the bird which would not do well, for his nest hangs by the wayside. Page 15. Another saying, of course, he is firstborn. Our elders hold that firstborns are always humble. Page 15. Another saying, one must take time to taste an ant in order to discover it is interest. Page 16. Let us look characters and the characterization as portrayed by playwright Christina Aidoo from Ghana. Number 1, Aidoo Son. He's a young Ghanaian graduate. Aidoo is an educated man who got his education in America and returned to his society with an African American wife, Eulalie. He is a betrayer. Aidoo is portrayed as a trailer. As he betrays society, particularly his mother, who toiled a lot to make sure that he gets education. He comes back and goes to live in the city, leaving his mother in a leaking house, which makes people laugh at her. He has also betrayed his culture by marrying a woman from another culture who failed to cope up with the traditional life and ending up insulting his people. He's a jealous. Aidoo professes to be jealous by telling Eulalie that he does not want to have the children yet because he can't afford seeing Eulalie paying greater attention to the children than to him. He says, children who want them, in fact, they would make me jealous. I couldn't bear seeing you love someone else better than you do me. Page 10. He was humble as a child. Aidoo is said to have been humble when he was growing up. Even his adult age, he still portraying his level of humility until Eulalie abuses that chance and he loses his temper and slaps her. But throughout the play, he remains humble and cool even when things get hot on him. Nana say, I think you should all know that Aidoo was always a humble one. He is firstborn to Eskom, a brother to Monk. Aidoo is the firstborn. His quality of humbleness is attributed his being the firstborn. His uncle Petu comments, of course, he's a firstborn. Our elders hold that firstborns are always humble. He is an agent for change. Aidoo comes back uneducated and wants to change the mentality of his people. He comes with a wife from another culture, to help them understand that in a marriage affair, what matters is love and not tribal. He also teaches them a lesson about birth control because most of them don't know family planning. Another character, number two, Eulalie Yawson or Lash. She is an Afro-American graduate. She is aware of her African identity, born in America. She still knows that his origin in Africa. She was taught by her mother to value her African identity, as she commented, "Sugar, don't sort of kiss me." And you purr every morning. You look your face in the mirror and see yourself black. Kill the sort of dreams seal girls dream that they are going to wake up one morning and find their skin's milk, white and their hair soft blonde. Page 24. She is extravagant. Eulalie is very extravagant when it is come to expenditure. Some believe that she is the reason Arthur forget his mother because she is too demanding. The first and second women have the following to say about her. Second women, one must sitting down if one wants to talk of affairs. They say that the young man gets no pen to buy himself a shirt. Second women, then how does she spend all of that man? She uses abusive language. Eulalie is very abusive as she keeps insulting Ato and his people, calling them bad names like bastards, uncivilized, more savages than dinosaurs, stupid and narrow-minded, and says their land is looted. This is reason Ato loses his temper and slaps her. She says, for instance, you compare these bastards, this stupid, narrow-minded savage with us. You dare. Page 48. She's a cigarette smoker and half drunkard. She's willful and rigid to change. She's disobedient and very rude. Let us look at another character. Number three, Escom. She's Ato's mother and Monka's mother. She has loving and a caring heart. She is poor. She is very hardworking. She is sympathetic. She is traditionalist. As other members of his traditional society, she also believes in some outdated custom, like choosing a wife for her son. We are told she went to Yamesa to ask his daughter to marry her son. Page 22. She also sells sheep to pay the blood price for him. She is illiterate. She has never been to school. That is why she cannot even pronounce the word Eulalie and pronounce as Hulele. As she is also not aware of modern birth control methods and tells Atos that, hey, everyone should come and listen to this. I have not heard anything like it before. Human beings deciding when they must have children. Let us look at another character. Number four, Nana. She's Atos and Monka's grandmother. She's talkative. She likes complaining whenever things are not going well. She admits that you people always say I talk too much, so I try not to put my tongue in my fire. She is traditionalist and literate. She objects the idea of Atos marrying the daughter of the slaves and wonders how she will narrate the story to the dead ancestors when she dies and joins them. Let us look at another character. Number five, Monka. She's Atos' sister. She is traditionalist. She is literate. She's not educated as a result. She fails to pronounce some words like America she say Amrika. Usually she says Hulele. At the time, she calls Eulalie with strange names like Ato's Morning Sunshine. Another character, number 6, Petu. He is Ato's Eda's uncle. He is traditionalist and superstitious. When Atos tells him about his dream, Petu comes to cleanse the outyard using traditional herbal constitution and potion. He also comes to wash Eulalie's stomach so that she may conceive, believing that something is wrong with her. Other characters include Akiele, Atos' elder aunt, Mansa, Atos' young aunt, Akroma, Atos' young uncle. Let us look at themes found in this play, The Dilemma of a Ghost by Christina Aidoo. Number 1, African tradition and custom. These main themes, African tradition and customs, reveal some themes. Example, Roman 1, blood price. It is an African belief that when a man is immature for marriage, his family, especially the mother, could intercede on his behalf. When Atos returned from America, a family meeting is held. At the meeting, it is revealed that a wife has already been wooed for Ato. In fact, the blood price is led to be paid when Akere asks Eskom where the man she sold the sheep. She was reading, she say, I have not done anything with it. Roman 2, love and forced marriage. Apart from the clash of culture, forced marriage is another prominent issue in the play. It is a norm for parents to choose the spouses for their sons and daughters in this society, and Ato is expected to conform to this canon. Ato overlooked this fact when he told Eulalie, Lash and Ato's Lawson shall be free to love each other, free to love each other. This is all that you understand or should understand about Africa. Roman 3, marriage and childbirth. As presented in the play, marriage is lifelong contrast, which prospers when there are children in it. It is uncommon, for instance, for Ato, an African, to tell his fears that they are going to make a good family with or without children. However, his people hold the contrary opinion. His education has dissuaded him from his root. So he no longer believes in the very tradition which bears his childhood, confused over the strangeness in her brother's behavior. Roman 4, traditional food. Eating snail in this society is one of their customs, and it is considered an honorable food suitable for guests. However, in this book, it is shown as one of the sources of conflict that brought a contradiction in Ato's family. Eulalie, who comes from a different culture, finds it difficult to eat the snail, and she throws away the snail her mother-in-law brings them. Ato argues with Eulalie on this matter. Ato, but how can you throw them away just like that? Have not you seen snail before? Eulalie says, my dear, did you see a single snail crawling on the street of New York all of the time you were in the state? And anyway, seeing snail and eating them are entirely different things. Roman 5, superstitions. Superstitious beliefs are very common in African society. In sorting out issues, most people view them from the spirit world. Specifically, for example, Eulalie and Atos have decided to use birth control and have children when they want them. But this society believes there is something wrong with Eulalie worms, so she must be purified to be able to conceive. Roman 6. Wife beating. Also, wife beating takes only minor take of what slapping his wife. It is significant that we include among African customs. Let us look another themes portrayed in this play, The Dilemma of a Ghost by Christina at Aidoo. Number 2, identity. In the play, there is a sense in which we are supposed to reconsider the issue of identity and double identity among the Africans. The African diaspora, regardless of their true countries, especially African Americans, are supposed to have a sense of identity, a sense of belonging, and thus know their root. In this connection, it is then not surprising to hear Eulalie, on her arrival in Africa, confesses, "I have come to their very source." Page 24. Number 3, ignorance and illiteracy. This traditional African society is portrayed as being ignorant in several ways, but in this analysis, we are going to examine on two. One, they are ignorant of the current development in science and technology in regard to birth control and family planning. In this case, we see them raising unnecessary conflict between them and the Atos family. Since they want Eulalie to give them a baby against her own plan, when Atos tries to explain to them that it is not that his wife is barren, but it is just a family planning methods, and they would have children when they wanted them, his mother's wonders. 2. They are ignorant of the culture difference between theirs and that of other society. Eulalie, who comes from another culture, is expected to automatically switch from their culture and start living according to the custom, and above her husband without being given enough time to adjust. Another themes, number 4, disillusion and disappointment. There are several cases of disappointment in this play. One is that which happened to Aidoo and his wife Eulalie. In America, they were blinded by the feeling of love, and they intended to ignore the very fact about Africa. Aidoo ensured Eulalie that because she is a blend of Africa and America, she would suit perfectly in Africa context, and they would make it paradise. He says, "I'll not use the sweetest and the loveliest things in Africa and America rolled together." Eulalie, in her arrival in Africa, seemed to be happy and think that she's going to have a lot of fun. She says, "So at last here, I'm in Africa, Joseph and Mel. I hope I have done the right things." Another disappointment is portrayed by Aidoo, the scholar, who is highly regarded for his education accomplishment. There are so many expectations of him. Now, what he is supposed to do for his family and society, however he finds it difficult to balance between the wishes of the society and the willful Eulalie's needs and desire who deliberately there are things that she knows wrong. His mother has spent all her resources by pawning the oldest and most valuable of the family heirlooms, nails, and the golden ornaments to get the man to pay for his education, hoping that when he returned, these things would be redeemed. Escom complained. Apart from the long journey I made to the unsuspecting rich, how often did I weep before your uncles and greet my uncles, while everyone complained that my one son's education was learning our home. Let us look another part of them in this play. Number 8, betrayal and hypocrisy. There are some cases of betrayal in the play. Aidoo is seen a traitor because he failed to live with the expectation of his society and his mother in particular. After graduating, he was expected to come back, marrying a girl from tribe, and help his mother, among other things, to pay the debt. She owes some people who gave her the money to pay his school fees. He betrays his mother, and all the money goes to Eulalie, who spent extravagantly buying cigarettes, clothes, and drinks. Escom complained, I cannot get a pen to pay the smallest debt I owe. Hulele must have a, what do they call it? Aidoo also portrayed as a hypocrite, as his sister acknowledged that when she paid them a visit, they did not give her anything except water after asking for it. She explained this hypocrisy using a proverb that there are two kinds of offers, one which comes light from both and the other while falls from the lips only. This implies someone who pretends to help you but not from the heart. Another themes, number 9, protest. The two stands of culture available in this society portray an open protest against each other's point of view. Usually, protest against the culture of her husband people. Usually is expected to compromise her American culture and adapt that of her husband, but she refuses to do that. In her opinion, African culture is uncivilized, so she cannot adapt. Aidoo's relative Aidoo protests against Eulali's behavior. Aidoo is expected to behave like any other African woman, but because she fails, the whole society comes up against her. They are not pleased with her smoking and drinking behavior, and the way she incites them, something that annoying to Aidoo himself until he slaps her. Let us look the part of law and the position of women as portrayed by playwright Ama Ata Aidoo in The Dilemma of the Ghost. Law and the position of women in this play. Number 1. Women portrayed as a hardworking and responsible person. Women occupy this portion because the playwright shows that women toil a lot to be able to support their families. The first woman is taken as a case in point showing how women work hard. When she says, oh, and yet, I thought I was alone in this. The lone women who must toil from morn till eve before a monster hits her tears or drops of water cools her throat. Page 11. Number 2. Women is portrayed as a slave. A woman is portrayed as a slave in the sense that she does all of the domestic chores without the help of other family members, especially in extended family. She has sweep the compound, cooks, fetch water. My sister, you are not alone, but who would have thought that I, whose house is teeming with children, my husband's sisters. Number 3, women is portrayed as a care person. ESCOM represent mothers who are caring to their children, no matter the age. Number 4, women is portrayed as a symbol of immorality. Eulalie is shown as a symbol of moral corruption because not only does she refuse to follow the culture of her husband, but she also disobeys and insults Aidoo and his people. Number 5, women is portrayed as a sufferer from barrenness. When a woman gets married, she is expected to have children immediately after a few months of marriage. When it does not happen, so she grieves in her heart because The society looks down upon such women as the first woman laments. If it is Lady Barney, then, O stranger girl, whom I do not know, I weep for you. For I know what is to start, a marriage with barrenness. Number 6. Women is portrayed as a sympathetic person. When the first and the second women hear the noise from Escom compound, they feel pity, thinking that the old woman Nana is dead. Also, when the Eulalie comes back after being slapped by Ato. My dear student, let us look the part of conflict as element of literature. In this play, The Dilemma of the Ghost by Christina Aidoo, try to show or to reveal the conflict in this play. Number 1. Cultural conflict between modernity and tradition. There is a conflict or clash of culture in this society, as it would be expected of any society where two cultures coexist. When two cultures meet, there is a usual and disagreeable point in which either one tries to dominate the other or both struggle for accessibility. In this play, Ato Yawson, a young Ghanaian who goes to America to study and return home with an Afro-American Eulalie, as his wife comes back with two conflict culture. His extended family has no approval of his marriage. This scenario set the tone for the theme of conflict of culture in the play, since Eulalie is from a different culture and a different continent with a distinct culture. She expected that her ways of life should be expected by Ato's relations once she finds herself in Ghana. Number 2. Family conflict. The conflict between Ato and Eulalie. This conflict is seen from the very beginning of reality, when they are still in America. It is clear that Eulalie is not like the girl back home, who are expected to be humble and special when addressing their husband. Ato admits that even women in Africa do talk, but not in the manner Eulalie talk. He says, how often do you want to drag in about African women? Leave them alone, will you? Oh, yes, they talk. But Christ, yes, don't learn on this way. The conflict between Ato and his mother Escom. This comes from Ato's unexpected changes of behavior, in a sense that he finds himself in dilemma whether to side with his wife or his mother. Number 3. Interpersonal conflict. Interpersonal conflict within Ato. Ato is in a great interpersonal conflict because of his arrival in Africa with his African American wife. He expected that things are just going to be easy and she would be able to cope with African lifestyle. If that, however, is not what happened, because Eulalie became a big disappointment both to Ato and his people. Interpersonal conflict within Eulalie also finds herself in the mind of a big dilemma or interpersonal conflict, because anticipation of happy life in Africa turns out to be a complete distress. She did not understand the cultural conflict between the Africans in Africa and the African Americans. Some of the cases and cause interpersonal conflict to her. Everyone expected her to be pregnant immediately, as expected of an African married wife. Let us look the message portrayed by Christina Aidoo in his play, The Dilemma of a Ghost. Number 1. wife beating is not a solution to family conflict. It should be discarded or discouraged. Number 2, people should be given reproductive health education such as birth control. Number 3, educated people should use their education to solve the problem of their people. Number 4, blood price is an educated custom, should be discouraged. Number 6, changes does not take place overnight. One should be given time to adjust. Number 7, we should fight against betrayal and hypocrisy. Number 8, choosing spouses for the youth is an outdated custom. The concerned parties should be left to follow their hearts, and the parents can just provide guidance and counseling. Number 9, we should not look down upon women who are barren. Children are a gift from God. If someone fails to get one, it is not her fault. Number 10, we should fight against superstition beliefs. They create unnecessary fear among the members of society. Number 11, we should know our identity and be proud of the same, no matter where we are. Let us look at the last part, which is relevance of the play. The play is relevant today as it was when it was first published. The issues discussed and the very issues disturbing many African society. Number 1, cultural conflict are common among African tribes, especially on the question of intertribal marriage, just as it was the case of Aidoo and his wife. Number 2, poverty is rampant in Africa, and many people fail to send their children to school, or at least they pound their properties to get the money. Number 3, betrayal and hypocrisy, especially by the educated elites in common Africa. Most educated people do not like leaving their home villages. Number 4, wife beating, blood price, superstition beliefs, extended families, and forced marriage are the common African tradition up to date. Number 6, other issues like feminist and personal identity, especially among the Africans in Africa and those in African diaspora, are also common subjects to debate in African continent today. That is the end of play analysis. My dear listeners, especially students, Form 3 and Form 4, who take the subject literature in English, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment below this video. My name is teacher Kaligo Dotto, the teacher of literature in English. Thank you for listening to me.